December 30th, 2006. The man who once commanded armies of 1 million soldiers, who built golden palaces across an entire nation, stood on a wooden platform in a cramped concrete room with a noose around his neck. Saddam Hussein had ruled Iraq for 24 years through fear and absolute power, making entire families disappear with a single word. Yet, in his final moments, he was surrounded not by loyal guards or terrified subjects, but by men with cell phone cameras, eager to capture the fall of the untouchable dictator who now couldn't even control the rope tightening around his throat. The final walk began before dawn on December 30th, 2006. The man who once commanded armies now shuffled through narrow corridors in handcuffs, guards flanking every step. Outside, Baghdad slept uneasily, unaware that within hours, everything would change. Saddam Hussein had spent 3 years in captivity. 3 years of watching his empire crumble through trial testimonies and witness accounts. 3 years of defiance slowly giving way to the weight of inevitability. The guilty verdict came down in November. The appeals failed. The execution date arrived faster than even his enemies expected. That morning, he dressed carefully. A black overcoat, white shirt, dark trousers. No military uniform, no presidential sash, just the clothes of an ordinary man facing an extraordinary end. He clutched a Quran, the same book he'd weaponized for political gain, now offering whatever comfort remained. The guards led him from his cell at Camp Justice, a former intelligence headquarters he once controlled. Every footstep echoed against concrete walls. The building hummed with tension. Iraqi officials, American observers, witnesses handpicked by the new government. Some came for justice, others came for revenge. He maintained composure, head raised, refusing to show fear. Decades of projecting strength had become muscle memory, but his hands trembled slightly as he walked. The noose waited in a chamber below, a room that would transform him from living tyrant to historical footnote in minutes. The journey from palace to prison stretched across 24 years of absolute power. In 1979, Saddam Hussein seized control of Iraq through purges so brutal they set the tone for everything that followed. He gathered his political rivals in a conference hall, read their names from a list, and had them dragged away one by one. Some were executed immediately. Others disappeared into torture chambers that became legendary for their cruelty. He built an empire on fear. 80 palaces rose across Iraq, monuments to excess while his people struggled. Gold-plated fixtures, marble imported from Italy. Lakes stocked with fish while children starved in southern villages. His face dominated every public space, painted 20 feet high on building facades, stamped on currency, woven into the fabric of daily life. The chemical attack on Halabja killed 5,000 Kurds in a single day. The Iran-Iraq war dragged on for 8 years, leaving 500,000 dead. Dissidents vanished without trial. Families learned not to ask questions. Silence became survival. Then came 2003. American tanks rolled through Baghdad's streets. The statues toppled in Firdos Square, bronze monuments to his cult of personality crashing onto pavement. His sons died in a firefight in Mosul. The palaces burned. The empire that took decades to build collapsed in weeks. By December, he was hiding in a hole near Tikrit, the city of his birth, now hunting him like a criminal. The trial that divided a nation opened in October 2005 inside Baghdad's heavily fortified Green Zone. Saddam Hussein stood in a defendant's cage. The same man who once controlled every courtroom in Iraq, now reduced to shouting at judges through metal bars. He wore his signature dark suit, defiant as ever, refusing to recognize the court's authority. The charges focused on the Dujail massacre, 148 Shia Muslims executed after a failed assassination attempt in 1982. But everyone knew this trial represented far more. Decades of mass graves, chemical weapons deployed against civilians, wars that consumed a generation. The prosecutors wanted justice. The victims wanted revenge. The difference between those two things became harder to distinguish with each session. Saddam turned the proceedings into political theater. He quoted the Quran. He challenged the legitimacy of American occupation. He called the judges traitors and puppets. His outbursts dominated news coverage, overshadowing survivor testimonies that detailed torture, executions, families destroyed. 3 defense lawyers were assassinated during the trial. Witnesses recanted under death threats. The chief judge resigned after accusations of bias. What was meant to demonstrate Iraq's new commitment to rule of law instead exposed the sectarian fractures tearing the country apart. Sunni communities saw a show trial designed to humiliate their former leader. Shia communities saw long overdue accountability. Kurds demanded trials for Anfal and Halabja. The verdict, guilty, death by hanging, satisfied no one completely but enraged many. The execution chamber waited in the basement, a concrete room barely large enough for the gallows, and the witnesses crowding its edges. Saddam Hussein descended the stairs just after 6 in the morning, still clutching his Quran, still projecting the defiance that defined his reign. Guards removed his black overcoat. They tied his hands behind his back. The noose hung from a metal beam, rough rope that would snap his neck in seconds. He stood on the trapdoor, surrounded by masked executioners and government officials whose faces betrayed barely concealed satisfaction. Then the taunting began. Voices from the crowd, sectarian chants, insults about his crimes, mockery of his powerlessness. "Go to hell!" someone shouted. Others joined in, their voices echoing off concrete walls. The man who once commanded silence with a glance now endured humiliation in his final moments. He responded with prayer, reciting the Shahada, the Islamic declaration of faith. His voice remained steady even as the noose tightened around his neck. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. The trapdoor opened at 6:05. His body dropped through the opening. The rope went taut. The fall broke his neck instantly. Death came within seconds. The witnesses reported his body convulsed briefly before going still. The dictator, who ruled through fear for nearly a quarter century, died surrounded by enemies, their cell phone cameras capturing every second of his final degradation. The footage that shocked the world appeared online within hours. Grainy cell phone video smuggled out despite strict prohibitions. The Iraqi government had released sanitized official footage showing only Saddam's final prayers. But the leaked video captured everything they wanted hidden. The taunting, the sectarian chants, the chaos in those final seconds, the unmistakable sound of the trapdoor opening, the body falling, the neck snapping. Millions watched a former dictator die in real time. The execution transformed from solemn state justice into a revenge-killing broadcast globally. The reaction was immediate and explosive. Human rights organizations condemned the spectacle. Religious leaders called it barbaric. Even governments that supported Saddam's removal questioned the manner of his death. The video made martyrs of tyrants in some communities while confirming the worst fears of others. Iraq's fragile attempt at unity shattered further. The execution, meant to close a dark chapter, instead opened new wounds. Sectarian violence escalated in the weeks that followed, fueled partly by the humiliation captured on those grainy phones. The aftermath brought everything except peace. Saddam Hussein's body was flown to his ancestral village of Al-Auja and buried beside his sons in a modest grave. Supporters visited in secret, leaving flowers and prayers. His execution became a rallying cry for insurgents who transformed a dictator into a symbol of Sunni resistance. Iraq descended deeper into sectarian chaos. The hoped-for closure never materialized. Instead, the manner of his death, the taunting, the leaked footage, the tribal revenge disguised as justice, reinforced every division the new government claimed to heal. Car bombs tore through markets, militias controlled neighborhoods. The violence that followed his hanging killed far more Iraqis than his trial ever addressed. Years later, ISIS would rise from those same fractures, seizing the territory Saddam once controlled through different but equally brutal methods. The tyrant was gone, but the systems that enabled tyranny remained. His death solved nothing. It simply replaced one nightmare with another, proving that killing a dictator is far easier than killing the conditions that created him.